Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotserved.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over how to solve multi-step equations. This standard is covered in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. Do not forget there are 12 practice problems at the end of this presentation for you to try out to demonstrate mastery of the materials covered. If you'd like to gain access to the entire playlist, course, and practice worksheets, just take a look at the links in the description below or just visit our website at mathgotserved.com. Alright, so the instructions for the examples we're going to be working on are for us to solve the given equations. Alright, so for question 1, let's say we have the multi-step equation, negative 7x minus 6 minus 5x plus 4 equals 22. So let's go ahead and solve this. Now, when we're solving an equation, what we want to remember is that the ultimate goal is to isolate the unknown variable, which is x in this case. Okay? So before we start, we're going to go over the steps that we will follow to solve this equation. Now, in order to get x isolated, we're going to start off by combining like terms, the variable terms, and then the constant. We'll then move the constant to the right side, and then if x, the variable, has a coefficient that's not 1, we're going to divide by that coefficient, and that will result in the isolation of x. Okay? Alright, so let's start with the first step, which is to combine like terms. Okay, so combine like terms. So the variable term x in the first degree, negative 7x and negative 5x are like terms. So to combine them, we just combine the coefficients. Negative 7 minus 5, the signs are the same, so you add and keep the sign. You have negative 12x. Now the next like terms we can combine are the constants, negative 6 and positive 4. The signs are different, so we're going to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger, which is negative, so we have negative 2. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2 equals 22. Okay, now we're going to proceed to isolate x. In order to isolate x, we will get rid of negative 2 first and then divide by negative 12. Okay, so add 2 to both sides, add 2, and that's going to give us negative 12x minus 2 plus 2 adds up to 0 equals 24. Now to finish this off, you notice that negative 12 has been multiplied by x, right? So to undo multiplication, you use its inverse, which is division. So we divide by the coefficient, which is negative 12. Apply that to both sides, and that will give us our final answer, okay? So negative 12x over 12 is going to leave us with x equals. Now when you divide a positive and negative number, you end up with negative. 24 divided by 12 is 2. Okay, so there goes the answer to the first question. Alright, let's take a look at question number 2. Let's say we want to solve the multi-step equation given by 16 minus 3x. Let me move my pen selection to the right. 16 minus 3x minus 14x. 16 equals 3x minus 14x minus 61. Okay, let's go ahead and solve this. Alright, so we have 16 equals 3x minus 14x minus 61. So what we're going to do first is combine like terms. Are there any like terms that we can combine here? Absolutely. The variable terms, x in the first degree, 3x and negative 14x are like terms. So let's go ahead and combine those. We have 16 equals 3 minus 14, subtract, and keep the sign of the bigger. Okay, so we have negative 11x minus 61. Now we're going to proceed to isolate x. To do that, we're going to use two steps. The first steps involve moving the constant negative 61 to the left, and then we'll divide by the coefficient 11x, okay? So let's add 61 to both sides. That's the opposite of subtracting 61. Alright, so we apply that, and then that gives us 16 plus 61 is 77. 77 equals negative 11x. Okay? Now we have the variable on the right and the constant on the left. To isolate x completely, we have to get rid of this negative 11x coefficient. Since the operation is multiplication, we'll use the inverse, which is division. So we'll divide both sides by negative 11, and that will result in the isolation of x. So we have 77 divided by negative 11. The signs are different, so we end up with a negative. Negative 7 equals, this divides out, x. Using the reflexive property of equality, we can write this as x equals negative 7. Okay, so there goes the answer to question number 2. Alright, let's take a look at question number 3. So for question 3, what if we were to solve the equation given by 4 times the quantity 3x plus 2 equals 32? Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this. So we have 4 times the quantity 3x plus 2 equals 32. Now the first thing we have to do is we need to get rid of this parenthesis right here, okay? So in order to eliminate the parentheses, we'll have to distribute the coefficient in front of the parentheses into the terms inside the parentheses. So when we distribute, what we're doing is multiplying, okay? So 4 times 3x will yield 12x. 4 times 2 is 8 equals 32. Alright, now that we've simplified it by eliminating the parentheses, we're now going to isolate x. In order to isolate x, we'll get rid of the plus 8 first, and then the 12 by subtracting 8 and then dividing by 12. Alright, so using the inverse operation of plus 8, we'll subtract 8 from both sides of the equation, and that will give us 12x equals 32 minus 8 is positive 24. And then to get rid of the 12, we'll divide both sides by 12, since division is the inverse of multiplication. That results in the final answer of x equals 2. Alright, let's take a look at question number 4. So for question 4, what if we have something similar? What if we are to solve the equation negative 2 times 6x plus 3 equals 138? Alright, let's go ahead and do it. So we have negative 2 times 6x plus 3 equals 138. Now to get rid of the parentheses, we're going to use the same step that we used in the previous example number 3. We're going to distribute not just 2 but negative 2. Alright, we're going to distribute negative 2 to positive 6x and positive 3. So please do not forget the sign when distributing. Okay, negative 2 times 6x is going to yield negative 12x. And then negative 2 times positive 3 is negative 6. Remember, whenever you multiply numbers with different signs, the resulting sign is always negative. Okay? Alright, so now to get x isolated, we'll get rid of minus 6 first, and then we'll get rid of negative 12. Okay? So to get rid of minus 6, we use its inverse, which is plus 6. We add 6 to both sides of the equation. And then when we do that, that gives us the result, negative 12x equals 138 plus 6 is 144. Now to get x isolated, we're going to proceed to divide both sides by negative 12, the coefficient of x, and that will yield the final result. X equals 144 divided by negative 12 will give us negative 12. Remember, whenever you divide different signs, the result is always going to be negative. Okay? Alright, let's move on to question number 5. Now for question 5, what if we're to solve the equation 4x plus 3 times the quantity 3x minus 4 is equal to 14? Okay, so to get us started, let's rewrite the problem. 4x plus 3 times 3x minus 4 equals 14. We want to get rid of the parentheses first. Okay, so to achieve that, we are going to distribute the 3 to the two terms inside the parentheses. Okay, so what does that result in? That yields 4x plus 3 times 3x is 9x, and then 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Okay, now that we've got rid of the parentheses, we are now going to proceed to see if there are like terms that we can combine. Now, do you see any like terms that can be combined here? Absolutely. 4x and 9x are like terms in the variable x of the first degree. Okay, combine those by adding the coefficients. That gives us a positive 13x minus 12 is equal to 14. Now to get x isolated, we're going to use two steps, okay? First of all, we'll get rid of negative 12 and then divide by 13. So to get rid of negative 12, we add 12 to both sides of the equation, and that yields 13x equals 26. Now to undo this 13 that's been multiplied by the x, we are going to divide both sides by 13. Okay, because the inverse of multiplication is division. So that gives us our final answer. X is equal to 26 divided by 13, which is 2. Alright, let's take a look at the next example. Question number 6. Now what if we have to solve the equation negative 88 is equal to 8x plus 2 times the quantity 2x minus 2. Alright, let's go ahead and do it. So we have negative 88 is equal to 8x plus 2 times the quantity 2x minus 2. Now first things first, let's go ahead and get rid of this parenthesis here. To do that, we're going to distribute 2 to 2x and negative 2. Okay? Now let's carry out that step. It's going to yield negative 88 is equal to 8x plus 2 times 2x is 4x, and then 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Alrighty. Now we're going to proceed to combine like terms. Do you see any like terms that can be combined here? We could combine 8x and 4x. They're like terms in the variable x of the first degree. Okay, so that yields negative 88 is equal to 8x plus 4x is 12x minus 4. Now to get x isolated, we're going to carry out two steps. Namely, we are going to add 4 to both sides to get rid of this negative 4, and then divide by 12 to get rid of that coefficient right there. Alright, so let's get started. Let's add 4 to both sides of the equation. So when we add 4 to both sides of the equation, we're going to have negative 88 plus 4. Subtract and keep the sign of the bigger, so it's going to be negative 84 equals 12x. Okay, minus 4 plus 4 adds up to 0. Now to finish this off, we're going to proceed to get rid of this 12, the coefficient of x. So we'll divide both sides by 12, divide by 12, divide by 12, and then we'll have our final answer. Negative 84 divided by 12 is negative 7 is equal to x, and we can just write it as x equals negative 7 using the reflexive property of equality. Alright, so there goes the answer to question number 6. Now let's take a look at question 7. Now what if we have the equation 5 minus 3 times the quantity x minus 3 equals 47. Let's go ahead and solve this. Alright, so just remember that anytime you have a negative number in front of a parenthesis, do not forget to distribute the sign also. Okay? So the first step here is to distribute. We're not just going to distribute negative 3, we're going to distribute negative 3. Okay, so the number and the sign will get distributed to these two terms in the parentheses. So that will yield 5 minus 3x, and then minus 3 times minus 3 is going to be plus 9, and that is equal to 47. Okay, now let's see, are there any like terms that we can combine? Well, negative 3x has no like terms to be combined with, but we can combine the constants 5 and positive 9. Okay, we bring down negative 3x, and then 5 plus 9 is 14. So plus 14 equals 47. Like that. Now to get x isolated, we're going to subtract 14 from both sides, sorry, and divide by negative 3. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. So you subtract 14 from both sides of your equation, and that yields, what does that yield? It gives us negative 3x is equal to 47 minus 14. This is going to be 33. And then to finish this off, we're going to divide both sides by negative 3 to isolate x. So divide by negative 3 on both sides, and then we have x is equal to 33 divided by negative 3 is going to be negative 11. There goes the answer to question number 7. Alright, let's take a look at question 8. For question 8, let's say we have the equation x minus 4 times the quantity 2x minus 6 equals 73. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do here is get rid of that parenthesis as we have done in both previous problems. To do that, we're going to distribute negative 4. Okay, so don't forget, when you're distributing a coefficient in front of a parenthesis, you distribute not just a number but the sign also. Okay, if we follow that procedure, we are going to have x minus 4 times 2x is negative 8x minus 4 times negative 6 is positive 24 equals 73. Okay, now what we're going to proceed to do is combine like terms. On the left side, you notice that we have two like terms in the variable of x of the first degree. X and negative 8x are like terms. When we combine these two, we're going to have negative 7x plus 24 equals 73. Okay, now to finish this off, we're going to subtract 24 from both sides and divide by negative 7. So let's go ahead and do that. So we subtract 24 from both sides, and that's going to yield, what's that going to yield? It's going to yield negative 7x is equal to, so that adds up to 0, 73 minus 24. It's going to give us 49. Okay. Now to get x by itself, we're going to proceed to divide both sides by negative 7. And that gives us our final answer, which is x equals 49 divided by 7 is negative 7. Okay, so that's the answer to question number 8. Alright, now let's take a look at number 9. So for number 9, what if we have to solve the 9? Let's say we have 18 minus 6 times the quantity 2x minus 9 equals negative 36. Alright, okay, so let's take a look at this one right here. So what we're going to do first is get rid of the parentheses by distribution. So we are going to proceed to distribute negative 6, take the number and the sign to two x and negative 9. If we carry out the distribution, you have 18 minus 12x, and then minus 6 times minus 9 is negative 54, equals negative 36. Now let's proceed to combine like terms on the left side of the equation. So like terms that we have these two constants are like terms that can be combined. So we have negative 12x minus 36 is equal to 36. Alright, now to get x isolated, we're going to add 36 to both sides of our equation, and then divide by negative 12 to get x isolated. Okay, so let's get started. We add 36 to both sides of the equation, and then when we do that, it's going to give us negative 12x is equal to so negative 36 plus 36 is 0. To finish this off, we divide both sides by negative 12. So divide negative 12 on both sides. And then your final answer, x, is going to be 0 divided by any non-zero number is just 0. Okay, so there goes your final answer for question number 9. Okay, let's take a look at number 10. So for number 10, let's say we have the equation negative the quantity 7x plus 5 plus 9 equals 25. Alrighty. Alright, so to do this, we want to get rid of that parenthesis right there. But you notice that there is no number in front of the parenthesis, just a negative sign. However, there is a number. It's the invisible coefficient. For all variables, the invisible coefficient is known as 1. Okay? So if a number does not have a variable doesn't have a number in front of it, the default coefficient is always 1. Okay, so there's a negative 1 right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and distribute negative 1 to these two terms in the parentheses to get rid of the parentheses. To achieve that, let's just distribute. It's just going to change the sign. Okay, so we have negative 7x minus 5 plus 9 is equal to 25. Okay, so we're now going to proceed to combine like terms. Minus 5 and plus 9 are like terms, so we're going to combine those. We have negative 7x minus 5 plus 9. The signs are different. You subtract and keep the sign of the bigger, equals 25. Now to get x isolated, we are going to get rid of the 4 and the negative 7. To get rid of plus 4, we'll use the inverse. We subtract 4 from both sides of the equation, and that will yield negative 7x is equal to 25 minus 4 is 21. Okay. Alright, so to finish this off, we're going to proceed to get x isolated. To get x isolated, we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which is negative 7. Divide both sides by negative 7, and it will give us our final result, which is x equals negative 3. Alright, so there goes the answer to question number 10. Alright, let's take a look at number 11. So for number 11, let's say we want to solve the equation 3 times the quantity 3x plus 5 minus 2 times the quantity 6x plus 2 equals negative 34. Alright, let's go ahead and try this out. Okay, so we'll write the problem. 3 times 3x plus 5 minus 2 times. Okay, so what we're going to do first is get rid of the parentheses. In this case, we have two parentheses that we want to get rid of. Okay, so we will achieve that by distributing 3 to these two numbers, and then negative 2 we'll distribute to 6x and 2. Okay, don't forget the sign. When we carry out the distribution, we're going to have 9x plus 15. And if we distribute negative 2, we're going to have negative 12x minus 4 equals negative 34. Alrighty. Now we're going to proceed to combine like terms. So we can combine the constants in the variable x of first degree. Positive 9x minus 12x will give us negative 3x. Okay, subtract and keep the sign of the bigger. And then we have 15 and negative 4. So positive 15 minus 4 is going to give us positive 11. Okay, we keep the sign of the bigger. That's equal to negative 34. Now, to get x isolated, we will get rid of plus 11 by subtracting 11 from both sides and then divide by negative 3. Okay, so let's subtract 11 from both sides of our equation. When we do that, that yields, what does that give us? It gives us negative 3x equals negative 34 minus 11. You add and keep the sign, okay, when combining numbers with the same sign, so negative 45. To get x isolated, finally, we are going to divide both sides by negative 3. Let's do that again. Divide both sides by negative 3. And then our final answer, x, is going to be negative 3 divided by negative 45 is positive 15. Okay, don't forget, whenever you divide numbers with the same signs, either positives or negatives, you will always end up with a positive sign result. Alright, one more example, question number 12, and then we have 12 practice problems for you to try out to demonstrate a mastery of this standard. Okay, so for question 12, the last one, let's say you want to solve the equation 8 times 2x minus 2 minus x minus 6 equals negative 85. Okay, so we have 8 times 2x minus 2 minus x minus 6 equals negative 85. Alright, so first things first, we want to get rid of the parentheses on the left side here, the first term to the left of the minus. We want to distribute 8 to these two terms. And then over here, we do not have a number, so we have the invisible coefficient 1. And now we're going to distribute negative 1 to these two terms in the parentheses. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and carry out that distribution. We're now going to have 16x minus 8 times 2, 16 minus x. Don't forget to distribute this negative here to the 6, so it becomes plus 6 equals negative 85. So we are now going to proceed to combine like terms. So we can combine the variables first. 16x and negative 6, we can combine them. There's the coefficient of 1 here. So we're going to add and keep the signs. Okay, now actually we're going to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger. So this is positive, that's negative, so we subtract. Sorry, so we have 15x. Alrighty, and then what else can we combine? We have the constants, negative 16 and positive 6. They're constants, we combine those. So to do that, we notice that the signs are different. So what we're going to do is subtract and keep the sign of the greater, which is negative. So minus 10 is equal to negative 85. Now to get x isolated, we're going to get rid of the 10 first, the negative 10, and then the 15, which is a coefficient. To get rid of negative 10, we'll add 10 to both sides of the equation. And that yields, what does that give us? It gives us 15x is equal to negative 85 plus 10. We'll subtract and keep the sign of the bigger, so it's going to be negative 75. And then we'll proceed to divide both sides by 15. Alrighty, and then when we divide that out, that gives us x equals negative 75 divided by 15 is negative 5. Alrighty, so congratulations on making it through these examples. It's now time for you to do some practice problems. Alright, we'd like you to try these. So what you're going to do, just try these problems, and then when you're done trying them out, you click on the play button, and then you see what the answers are. Alright, so you have to solve the following 12 questions. So for number 1, let's say you have negative 4x minus 9 minus 8x plus 7 equals 34. Number 2, let's say you have 20 equals 4x minus 11x minus 57. Number 3, let's say you have 3 times the quantity 2x plus 5 equals 51. And then number 4, let's say you have negative 3 times 5x plus 8 equals 66. Alright, and number 5, let's say you have the equation 2x plus 2 times the quantity 4x minus 5 equals 100. Number 6, let's say you have negative 90 equals 9x plus 3 times the quantity x minus 6. Number 7, let's say you have 7 minus 2 times the quantity 3x minus 4 equals 57. Number 8, let's say you have x minus 2 times the quantity 4x minus 5 equals 66. Number 9, let's say you have the equation 21 minus 4 times the quantity 3x minus 5 equals 101. Number 10, let's say you have the equation negative quantity 8x plus 3 plus 13 equals 82. Number 11, let's say you have the equation 5 times the quantity 5x plus 5 minus 3 times the quantity 7x plus 6 equals negative 77. And then lastly, number 12, let's say you have 6 times the quantity x, let's write that again. So for number 12, let's say you have 6 times the quantity 2x minus 2 minus x plus 7 equals negative 87. Alright, go ahead and pause this video presentation and try out these 12 problems. When you're done, click back on the play button in order to see what the correct answers are. Alrighty, welcome back. So hopefully you had a chance to try out these examples. Let's take a look at what the answers are. For question number 1, the answer is x equals negative 3. For number 2, it's x equals negative 11. Number 3, x equals 6. Number 4, x equals negative 6. Number 5, x equals 11. Number 6, x equals 6. Number 7, x equals negative 7. Number 8, x equals negative 8. Number 9, x equals negative 5. Number 10, x equals negative 9. Number 11, x equals negative 21. And then number 12, x equals negative 6. Alright, so how well did you do on these problems? Let us know. Just post your comments in the comment section below to know how well you did and what difficulties you experienced in solving these problems. We'll be glad to respond. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. Really appreciate it. If you found the contents of this tutorial helpful in your studies of solving equations, do give us a like. Your positive feedback is very valuable to us. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel for updates to other presentations such as this. We upload videos to our page on a weekly basis. If you have any questions, comments about the presentation, or have any special requests for Algebra 2 or Algebra 1 tutorials, just place your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to visit our website at mathgotserved.com for tons of support resources, and also the links in the description below will give you access to other valuable resources too. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.